Hey guys, this lesson is for the recorder 1 part for Day O, the Banana Boat song, and we're going to just work through that from the beginning. So this piece revolves a lot around these notes: G, B, A, D, high D, and high G. There's a few others when we go down at the end, but that's a lot of them. And we also have a syncopated rhythm, which means instead of having notes that are just on the beat all the time, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, we're going to have the beat going, and our note changes are off the beat. Ba 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 da. So that first measure that we play is syncopated. Ba 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 ba, and then it's not syncopated in that second measure. So let's look at right from the beginning. We see that there are two measures of rest, and these two measures are kind of out of time. There's a solo part that plays there, so we won't even worry about counting that. We would just hear it, and we would know when to come in. So this is measure 3. We want to look at our first sequence of notes, and it sounds like this. So G, G, we don't use our right hand at all, these are all high notes. So G, G, B, B, G, A, G, and then here's the tricky bit. We have to go from B to D. And we should really have a slur across those two notes, the B, D, which can be tricky to execute. We'll talk about what we have to do to make that happen. But let's just try right there, a little under tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the rhythm of it. Now that last two notes, the B to the D, is tricky because we're going from our B, which has thumb in place, to our D. So first finger has to go up, second finger has to come down, thumb has to go up, like that. And that's tricky. A lot of times we may get a little extra noise in there. And also the way that this piece just is musically, we can blow a little bit more as we go from that B to D to make it kind of an accented note. And then you should probably, I think it's a good idea to not just let that note end in the air, where it'll tail off like that, but actually make it a staccato, the high D, so your tongue comes back to your soft palate at the end. So I'm cutting it off on the fourth beat rest. So again, from the beginning, or the beginning of that measure, 1, 2, ready, and. Now we'll have that or something similar to it. We'll have that rhythm a lot. And then we'll have some similar figures. So once we've got the basics of that down, a lot of the rest of the page becomes pretty easy. Then we have another 3 bars of rest where there's a solo part in there that again is out of time. And then we have the descending version of this where we're going to use G, B, G, A, G. So that one is, again, the syncopation at the beginning, and it's exactly the same. That measure, that 8th measure, is the same as the 3rd measure. And then we just have this figure to finish it out, which leads into the accompaniment part, and then we have some more rest. So we have two beats of A, 2 beats of A, 4 beats of G, and we're off. Ready, and. And with that one, rather than using the tongue to cut the note off, let's just come away. Actually, just stop your breath and open the upper lip. to let it kind of go out into the air. So let's try that from measure 8, those 3 bars. 1, 2, ready, and. And if you start to run out of breath there on that one, I tried to do that with one breath and I hadn't taken a deep enough breath, so it started to run out. You can take a breath between the A's if you need to, or before that last G, or just take a nice deep breath before measure 8 when we start. All right, so that's the opening, the introduction. So we go on from here to letter A, where we start our actual verse figure. And we have 3 versions of this. We have the 2 bars at letter A. We have a little variation in the next line at measure 16, and then we have a descending variation in measure 20 and measure 24 that are the same. So this is a little figure, also syncopated, goes like this. So same rhythm as we kind of had at the beginning. And here's our notes: B, high D, B again, high D, D, B again, D. Here's the tricky one, high G. So just as it was hard to do the slur from B to D, going from the D to the high G is tricky because we have only second finger down. Then we got to get 1, 2, 3, and the pinched thumb down. So this is our high G, where we have the opening there. It's not over the hole. That's low G. This one, we have to have the G with a little bit of space there, so we get the. And it's hard to, that's a difficult thing to do, go from the D to the G. That's worth practicing all by itself because it is quick. So I would practice first the D to the G, without any particular rhythm, just quarters or whatever. Then I would practice the arpeggio, B, D, G. It's just as quarters, actually. Then in rhythm. And that high G, we're going to make sure it's a short note, so we're going to let the tongue come back and cut it off, or stop it. So if I play those 2 bars together, a little under tempo, letter A, 1, 2, ready, and. That's how that works. All right, then this should be pretty familiar. These next 2 bars, listen. That is just what we played at the beginning, except easier because instead of doing the B-D, we just play the B. So if we put that line together, 1, 2, ready, and. All right, that's line 3. Here's the variation now in bar 16. So you see it's very, very similar, but slightly different rhythm. It's just that part that's different. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 4, and. And then we end with that again. Didn't get it quite in place. There it was. So let's try that under tempo. 1, 2, ready, and. So you can practice that. Just try to get it up to tempo. 1, 2, ready, and. And then, here's this. So that is almost exactly the same as the beginning figure and the figure at the end of the third line, except we go down instead of up at the end. So instead of going A, A, B, we go A, A, G. All right, that's line 4. Now here's the most elaborate variation on the melody, which is here at bar 20. So we start B, D, D, B, B, D. Now here's some new notes that we haven't had. C, 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 A, F sharp, low D. You can just practice that arpeggio. C, A, F sharp, and D. And then in tempo, C, 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 A, F sharp, D. So this part is not syncopated. Everything happens on the beat. Ba, 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 ba. So that's a variation from what we had before. Those first measure there is just going back and forth from B, D, D, B, B, D. And I play those, the D, D, B, B as kind of staccatos. And then... So putting them together, 1, 2, ready, and... And then look what we have here. Be pretty much an expert at that by now. And then we have the last line, same as what we just played. And we finish it out with our lower variation. And there it is. That's the whole thing. So let me play once through. I'll skip the opening, and I'm going to play from A to the end. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, you might have noticed that my high G did not speak properly either time. And the reason is because I did not clear the moisture out before I played. If yours starts doing that, I've been playing for several minutes, and so I'm building up moisture in there. And if you're having that problem with that high G, I can almost guarantee that you need to clear it out. So I'm just going to do that. It'd probably be a good idea to actually take it apart and clean it, but there it is. So that was just moisture buildup in there. It wouldn't let me play that high note. So clean the moisture out, and it worked perfectly. So just remember that if you start having trouble with notes speaking and you've been playing for several minutes, that you probably have to swab it or at least blow the moisture out. So that is the Recorder 1 part for Deo, and I'll see you next time for the Recorder 2 part.